Pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1976, known as the Open Public Meetings Act, Mr. D'Ambola notified the public that notice of the date, time, location, and agenda of this meeting, to the extent known, was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner. Number one, by posting such notice on the public announcement board of the Lakewood Board of Education offices and the Lakewood Township Municipal Building. Number two, by mailing such notice to the office of the Asbury Park Press. Number three, by filing such notice with the board secretary. Number four, by mailing such notice to all individuals who requested and paid for a copy of same. Roll call. Mr. Friedman? Mr. Greenspan? Here. Mr. Zlatkin? Mr. Tift?
Here.
Mr. Mund?
Here.
Mr. Schwartz?
Here.
Mr. Silver? Mr. Seitler?
Here.
Mr. Fink?
Here.
We have a quorum.
We're gonna go out of agenda tonight, and I'm gonna start off with new business. There's one thing that I'd like to address and make a note of, that I'm asking my fellow board members to approve the following motion. Lakewood's a perfect district to make note of this and to see where it takes us, the country, down the road. But I would like to move to have a daily minute of silent reflection following the morning Pledge of Allegiance in all the schools in Lakewood, effective the first day of the public schools. During that time, a child can do whatever they would like to do, but we will do it for a year, and hopefully people will feel that the child is doing the right thing during that minute.
All right, we have, first of all, we have corrections to the agenda. On page 2.
Do we have to vote on that motion?
You might make a motion, I'm sorry. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you.
Okay, we need to
Silent reflection. Does it require a vote poll?
Yes.
Yes,
It does.
Mr. Friedman?
To have a minute of silent reflection following the morning Pledge of Allegiance in all the public schools.
Okay, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Tift?
Yes.
Mr. Mund?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Seitler?
Yes.
Mr. Fink?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Through the chair, Tom, my agenda's still not here. It's been borrowed, so it's not back yet. Do you want to make corrections? I'm still waiting for it.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
they borrowed mine.
All right, well, meanwhile, let me read some correspondence while we're waiting. We got this from the County of Ocean, Office of the County Clerk. It's regarding the upcoming school election. It's just a notification, and I wanted to read it into public minutes now. This is to remind you that 3 important school election deadlines are approaching. As such, it is imperative that you immediately notify our office in writing via email if a vacancy has taken place on your respective school board. Specifically, the dates: Tuesday, September 3rd, 2013 is the deadline for a school board secretary to notify the county clerk that a vacancy exists due to resignation or death, so that the seat can be listed on the official November 5th ballot. The second date, Friday, September 6th, is the deadline for any candidate for the school board to file a petition with the county clerk to fill an unexpired term which has become vacant since the June primary filing date. Number 3, finally, the last date a candidate can, for a school board can withdraw their name from the ballot is Friday, September 6th. If you have any questions, you can contact the county clerk. 732-929-2153. You have an agenda? Yeah.
I can make corrections on there before. All right? Go slow.
What about,
We can do the additions if you want to change this.
This is on, this one here is on.
Well, we can start with some of the changes on the agenda until we get the additional changes that are coming. All right, the changes on the agenda, the public already have these changes. The board members do not have it. On page 2, item D, the bills list is $6,445,976.11. That's $6,445,976.11. The superintendent's agenda items, page 34, number 22, remove Y Kids After School Program. That's because we're going to go out for RFP on that. Page 34, number 22, remove Y Kids After School Program. Page 35, numbers 24 and 25, remove specific school locations and replace with district. Pages 55 and 56.
what was the last one, I'm sorry?
On page 35,
Yeah.
numbers 24 and 25, under the superintendent's agenda.
Or they're just calling it in district? What is your agenda?
Yeah, we're replacing the word specific school location with the word district,
I got it.
okay? On pages 55 and 56, under the superintendent's agenda, section number 1.
Is this the corrected version right here that I have?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I found this issue.
Yeah, we have the correct one.
Section number 1, number 2, add paid through Perkins funds for FCCLA, internship/student learning experience coordinator, the Chef's Club. Also, add Chef's Club to Skills USA Culinary. And correct the stipend value for class 2004 advisor from $534.25 to $1,068.50. It's just double. Okay? The last item is a correction to everyone's agenda, even the public's. It's page 49, item F. Page 49, item F, number 19. Remove Christopher from the agenda. Okay? Everybody got that? Page 49.
47.
47.
What does that say? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yours is 47. The board's 49. Oh, nobody told me that. They leave me up here like this, you know? See what they do to me? I'm telling you.
What are you changing on there?
Remove Christopher. Mick, whatever his last name is. I just have MC. I have MC. Christopher Mick, MC.
Excuse me, Tom.
He withdrew his name today.
Through the chair, page 31, item number 7, and page 37, item number 37 on the agenda. I think that there was a typo with the date. I was going to make that adjustment.
Let me get that once more. Page 31.
Page 31 first, item number 7.
I guess that's page, okay.
And then page 37, item number 37, it's the same, I think there was a typo with the dates. I think they said on page 37, it should be September through August instead
Right, number
of
7. They
July.
overlap. The dates are overlapping.
This one here?
Change number 7 to September 1st, 2016.
September 1st to August 31st.
I think I have a different agenda because item number 7,
Annette Ramos, are you talking about?
Yes,
I have July 31st to August 30th,
okay,
1
now,
month.
on page 37,
right?
same person, it says July 1st through August 31st. They were saying July 1st should be September 1st.
No, you have an updated agenda. Corrected.
Oh, you fixed it already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay then, all right.
Because it wasn't updated.
Sorry.
You guys are fast, man, I tell you.
I'm trying to find this now.
Okay, you fixed it, thank you.
They're just trying to confuse me, Tracy. I just want you to let me know that. Okay, we have it. This is new. This is not correction. This is new, right? These are new.
This is Joel's
Joel, this is the add-on, right? These are the correct. These are the roots. Which one are you? Let's just leave the changes and make it large. Okay, all right. Okay, the corrections on the agenda for the transportation. Route number SCM1, contractor STA. The cost is $97.80, not $98.80, $97.80. And the aid, if needed, is $40, and increase, decrease is 1 cent.
The next one was awarded to Clark.
Yeah.
And the original agenda hasn't been awarded to something else.
Okay, route number TBY9. The award is supposed to be to Klarr, K-L-A-R-R, at a cost of $134, even, no cost for the aid, and increase is $1.
It's not on the agenda.
It was never on the agenda. It was never on the agenda, so that's an add-on. The last two, the route BB2.
Was supposed to be awarded to originally awarded to Central. It's supposed to be changed.
It was awarded to Central. It's supposed to be awarded to J at a cost of $147 even. No cost for the aid and 1 cent increase, decrease. BB2.
1.7.
Right. That's right. Why is your change?
your busing? BB2 was getting considered.
Okay. That's the revised?
No, this original.
Okay, it was, Simmentalk was the original award. It's supposed to be J's. Okay, and the last one is YOH6. Was originally given to Central. It's supposed to be J's at $138 even, no cost for the aid, and 1 cent increase, decrease. I have nothing else here. One last change.
Which is,
I did that one. Here it is. SCM. Oh. All right, SDHS5. It's $68 instead of $82 per route. What's this one here? My TPO. We don't have that here.
They're not the lowest bidder anyways.
Can I make a motion to,
Oh, sorry. It's the, yeah, the state it says it's start at 6 o'clock. Okay, yes.
Joe, how we doing?
That's it? Okay. All right, we're done there. I need a motion to accept the corrections to the agenda.
motion?
All right, second? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything else?
Tracy?
Call for the public. Ms. Johnson? Ms. Johnson?
Good evening. My name is Regina Johnson. I reside at 20 Kings Court, Lakewood, New Jersey. I've lived there for 20 years. I have a great concern about the educational system here. It is imperative. There is a major dilemma in terms of education. I'd like to know what you're doing in terms of positive incentives to keep the children from dropping out of school. Another thing, I looked at the salaries of your teachers, and the salaries are pretty good. What are you doing to keep the children motivated? You have to realize they are our future for tomorrow. And not to get religious or biblical or what have you, God is not pleased. He's very unhappy here. So we are looking to you as the leaders. You're in charge of the Board of Education. We have been quite quiet. My daughter has not utilized the school system here. She attended Mondon, and there's a reason for that. It's a private high school. No, not that we're rich. We did that for a reason, because we were concerned about her education. Education is paramount. If you don't get an education, then that leads to other problems. We have crimes here in Lakewood. It appears to not to be getting any better. I know children that go to the Lakewood high school system, and no, this is something that's happening all over. But what are you doing? I don't see anything happening. You have supposedly these teachers that have college degrees. I'd like to know where they attended in terms of education. So what are you doing? I want to answer. This has been happening for quite some time. Do they have their master's degrees or what have you? And I know you have some talented children in Lakewood that are lost in the shuffle. If you're not on the gifted and talented program, what have you, that's a small percentage. The other children are lost. So what are you doing? Who'd like to answer?
I would like to answer. We have recently hired many new administrators that are very energetic, they have a lot of energy, and they are absolutely 100% here for our students. We have a lot of new programs. If you would like to make an appointment with me,
I will.
I can make an appointment with me and we can go over all the new programs.
Okay.
And everything.
We'll
as far
talk.
as teachers, we have teachers with tremendous ability as well as students with tremendous ability. And you should be seeing changes.
Okay. I'd like to see that.
Through the
Thank
chair,
you.
can I just add to that? I mean, whoever's been here at these meetings over the last year and a half has seen major changes in the district, starting with our superintendent alone. And we brought her in there, and she did a phenomenal job over the last 2 years. So I'd like to give her, some acknowledgement that she changed a lot of things around from the bottom up.
I commend you.
Thank you, Ms. Winters.
Through the chair as well, one thing that I just want to say is my kids go to public school. And as a parent, that I don't hold the school 100% responsible for raising my kid. It starts at home. You have to keep your kids stimulated and motivated at home first and then that overflows into the school.
I'm aware of that, okay, but this is our society. This is the 21st century. Unfortunately, you have a lot of single parents. I'm quite sure you can relate to that. So we must keep them engaged. I'm not blaming you or anybody else. Thank God I have my husband there. There are a lot of parents who don't have that. So what can we do again to keep them engaged? That's why it's important that you have special programs to keep them involved. Many of them have low self-esteem. They don't feel good about themselves. You don't know what they have to go to. They leave the schools and you wonder why they're acting out. They have behavior problems, because maybe mommy or daddy's not there. Daddy has to raise the children. So again, that is the reason why you must keep them engaged. Superintendent Lori Winters, I commend you if you're doing a great job. That's wonderful. But we still have to keep them motivated and we have to keep them engaged.
We agree.
Okay, thank you, and we'll meet later.
Dr. Harper?
Good evening. Brother Fink, I do thank you and I do commend you for the motion, and I want to thank the board for approving it. But the motion doesn't go far enough. As Mr. Fink, you know from our meeting with us on the 19th, we have started the Prayer Back in School movement, and it's not anything that just been started right here in Lakewood. The President of the United States knows about it, the Vice President knows about it, and many other people throughout the country know about it. We need more than silent prayers. Everybody does that all the time anyway. We want spoken prayers aloud so that anybody can hear them, and we want them done any time of the day as long as they are not interrupting classroom. That's what we are talking about. But again, I do appreciate you going this far, but that's not far enough.
We all know that the difference between church and state. And we cannot even bring up the word prayer, but there has to be a starting point somewhere. And I'm not saying I'm against prayer, but I am saying that we will start with the, silent minute that a child can do whatever he pleases to do.
Well, excuse me, it's my understanding that there cannot be organized prayers in school, especially where the teacher or an adult has anything to do with it. Prayers or Bible reading. But I'm talking about any child from any faith, any denomination, should be able to pray in school just like they talk in school. Anytime they want to, as long as it's not interrupting a class. They should not be afraid to do so, thinking that somebody's going to discipline them if they do so. That's a step forward. When you look at, Lakewood's been blessed, but when you look at what's been happening across the country with all of this escalating in gun shootings in school, this would be a way to help curtail that kind of thing. And I would think that we should all be glad that Lakewood's been blessed so far and it hasn't happened here. But we also should be concerned about what's happening throughout the country. And so this is one way that we can help alleviate that problem.
Well, if the folks from Lakewood would like to go to Washington and speak to the Supreme Court, I'll go with you.
Good.
But I'm there. Let me know when.
All right.
But thank you very much for coming.
I can't pronounce the first name. I can't really read it. First name is Donna.
Perrine.
Brian?
Perrine.
It's like
Donna Perrine.
Beine.
Is there a Donna here?
Yeah. Okay.
No. Next.
Move on. Johnson, Mr. Johnson?
Good evening.
Good evening, how you doing?
Good.
My name is Lee Johnson. I'm at 20 Kings Court, Lakewood, New Jersey. My wife just spoke. My thing is with the Board of Education, our taxes started around, $3,200. Now it's close to $7,000. And when I come through Lakewood, I don't see that there's, between the high school and one day I was going past the high school in the summer program, I saw like maybe 30 or 40 kids out there like for summer school, are they really learning anything? Are the teachers really keeping them engaged in the school? Are they keeping them interested in school? Because I want to know where our money's going, and it seems like that the Jewish kids are getting their education, but I don't think the Gentiles are getting their proper portion. And I want to know why.
Well, if you saw children playing outside the high school, that was not our summer school program. That could have been a summer recreation program. There are soccer teams that play, high school teams that play.
It was like 30 or 40 kids out there. I think it was a summer school. They was attending summer school.
It could have been one of the summer programs. We do have athletic programs that use our facilities.
I didn't see any basketballs or footballs or no helmets, any sports equipment. They were just hanging out.
No, I'm saying, but there's other activities that go on besides sports inside the
Right.
buildings as well.
Okay.
Like drama clubs.
Right.
My daughter was in a drama club.
Yeah.
You know, there's all other kind of activities that go on inside the schools that aren't physical
Okay.
activities.
Summer school takes place inside classrooms. It does not.
But this is after, and I'm saying, they had just let them out. I'm saying all these kids attending summer school, and even just by the old library, a lot of kids used to just didn't go to school. I guess it was cutting class and hanging out there, like 5 or 6, 7, 8 kids just hanging out by the old library.
I can't speak to why kids would be outside the library. I don't know anything about
Okay.
that.
All right, that's all I want to answer. I just want to know, where's the money going? Are the kids getting a proper education? You know.
Yes, they are getting a proper education. If you'd like a tour of the high school when school starts, I feel free to call my office and I will take you on a personal tour to
Okay.
see the high school.
All right, I've been there many times. All right, okay.
Thank you.
I'll take you up on that.
Thank you.
Through the chair, can I make a comment on what the gentleman had mentioned about the Jewish schools getting an education? First of all, I think the public realizes that any education outside the public school system is paid for privately. And with private money, you can get any education, go to Harvard if you want. As far as the public dollars, I mean, I sit on the Board of Ed, I see the available tools and the technology and everything that we put in to try to give the tools necessary for public education, and by far exceeds what's available at the local level in the Jewish private schools. Just an FYI, I have a kid in private school. I see what's available to these students, and I see what's available to the private school students. So I think your children, if they attend public school, are in very good hands.
Okay, but like my daughter, my wife said that she attended Monsignor Donovan, but now, like you said, it's a good point if you decide to send them to a private school, but everybody can't afford that. You know, the average parent's a single parent, they may not be able to afford that, you know. So what are they doing for the ones that can't afford it, you know?
Let me
And
say
I know
this.
Toms River North, I took an automotive course up there. One thing about the people that lived there, which I did like about Toms River, the people didn't get paid, they gave back something to the kids. If it was a computer course, they just volunteered their time. And I hope Lakewood is doing the same.
Would you like to volunteer?
Excuse me?
Would you like to volunteer?
For what?
To offer a class?
Depends what class.
I don't know, something that you're able to do.
Excuse me, but I'm a diesel mechanic, so if they want to know something about that,
Good.
that I'm an expert in,
Do we still have that?
I can address something like that, but do you have a vocational school where the kids that don't go to college can get some kind of
We used to have a
skill?
shop.
Well,
You
here's
used to?
what.
You need to bring it back.
Let me address it, please. This board, honestly speaking, and I'm very proud of this, has done more for the public schools in Lakewood in the last 3 years than probably in the last 10 years.
Last year.
We have brought back more programs from kindergarten up. Every child, all the classrooms have been renovated where we have new equipment that Lakewood has never seen. We are on the right path with the public schools, not only fixing and repairing every public school, but what Mrs. Winters has done with the new programs and the new academic achievements she's brought in. Lakewood has actually turned the corner. We just need more stability to move it forward. And I honestly see it. I'm in the public schools, Tracy's in the public schools, we're always in the public schools, and we ask a lot of questions. And when something is not right, I can tell you, we bring it to Ms. Winter's attention immediately. So, I mean, if anyone would like to walk through the high school when school is in, or the public schools, and see the dress code now, I welcome it. I'll personally go with you to the schools. I'm sure Ms. Winters will. Tracy's always available. I mean, you need to really see what the public schools in Lakewood are about now.
All right, I'll check it out.
Please.
I'll take you up on that.
As far as the vocational classes, that's in Tom's River, but we are moving forward to bring in our own classes in the future.
Yeah, that would be good. That'll keep a lot of the children out of jail.
We agree. We agree.
All right.
Through the chair,
Okay.
just make a note, and I'm sorry. The technology in our buildings, and that's why it's very important for the parents to also be involved and take a tour of the schools and see the smart boards that are up, to see the technology, the Wi-Fi, the Apple iPods, the iPad Labs that are there, which we never had in these schools.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out. But they need to bring back a little bit more vocational, because all the kids may not want to go to college, because I didn't go.
Absolutely.
I attended a vocational school.
But the district also does college tours. There's also other vocationals around the district that Lakewood students are also eligible to apply for.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so everything doesn't have to happen here. They can go outside the district as well for vocational.
You know what, Ms. Winters, why don't we maybe make it available maybe on our website for any parent who has these sort of skills, vocational skills, to be able to offer a class or whatever after school. You know, somebody, it's a good idea. Somebody's a mechanic, somebody's a shoemaker, somebody, whatever they're doing, to be able to offer those skills back to the kids. I see there are a lot of parents that want to volunteer to do such a thing.
It's a great idea, thank you.
All right, okay.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Mr. Lieberman?
My name is Rabbi Fyvie Lieberman. I reside at 20 Carlton Avenue in Lakewood, and I'm here tonight representing, you can see everybody, representing the 469 students of Tashbar School in Lakewood and the 318 parents who are appalled by some of the bus routes we were awarded to this year by the Board of Ed. I've been disabused of the notion of assuming that everybody's familiar with everyone's private routes, so I'd like to share some of the details with you before I give you my comments on them. These are just the worst ones that I've been awarded. I have a route to get the kid to school at 7:40 a.m. First kid's got to be at his stop 6:28 a.m. with a 10-minute window that's 6:18.
Hold on, were those routes just the ones that were amended?
No, but let him finish, please.
Yeah.
I don't have a
Good.
confirmation that they were.
Good.
Which means a 6th grade child getting to school at 7:40 has got to be up before 6 o'clock to make his bus. That's route number 1. Total time of 73.28 minutes. That pales in comparison to my 5:45 dismissal. I'll find it in a moment. Leave school at 5:45 p.m. Last kid gets dropped off at 7:23 p.m. That's 98.47 minutes. That's on paper. We all know the wishful thinking of that. We're talking about a 2-hour route to send a kid home. I've been in touch with various members of the board, and I've heard the reasons why the various resolutions were adopted. And I agree with the problems that presented themselves in Lakewood. The growth of the community is not being addressed by some other agencies that perhaps it's their job. The only thing I can say definitively is this is not the solution. To put kids on a bus for 2 hours plus on the way home from school, to have them waking up before 6 a.m. to get to school, is not the answer to whatever problems there are. I'd like to remind the members of the Board of Education, Superintendent, Board Attorneys, and Business Administrators, you are elected and appointed as representatives of the community to represent the needs of the educational needs of all our children. We have other agencies in town, whether elected or appointed, that are tasked with providing the infrastructure for the growth of the community, traffic and safety, and all that. We're all behind you as a community to solve those problems. Traffic's a beast. I'm stuck in traffic every morning on Central Avenue without a bus in sight. We all agree on that. But to take it out on the kids' backs is something that's really not understandable. And I understand the board has to make some resolutions and follow some policies. But yet we also have to look at it with a little compassion and humanity. After all that's said and been done, there are some things that need to be amended to fit a general acceptance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Well, you're a board member, if you'd like to speak, feel free.
Why don't we hear from Gus? Is he around? Yeah, I'm here. Gus, is there anything to be said over here?
As you know, as a Board of Education, the subject of the cost of transportation, along with the limitations of the resources of buses and drivers, is an enormous challenge. From September 1st of 2012 to September 1st of 2013, Lakewood is experiencing an unprecedented growth of about 4,000 children year over year. That has put an enormous strain on the resources that we have, not just financial, but the hard resources of buses and drivers. The board looked at this, and last year the direction on my routing was that no route was to exceed 60 minutes. The board recognized that even with that 60-minute limitation, many routes were being driven around town with buses that had less than half a bus load. The goal was to try to get more usage, more utility out of the buses, and after a lot of soul searching, I think a hard decision was made, and a letter went out to the schools, the non-public schools, indicating that in an effort to try to get better utilization of our fleet resources, that we would waive the 60-minute rule in favor of trying to get load count targets. And those targets were for runs that were exclusively for kindergarten children, the primary children. The load count target was 25. That's half a bus load. For the older children, grades 1 through 12, the load count target was targeted at 40, which is approximately about 3/4 of a bus load. So when I proceeded to do the routing this summer, we did have routes that went longer this year than last year. We have about 1,200 bus routes in Lakewood, 1,200. Out of 1,200, we have 11 that exceed 70 minutes. And those 11, and Rabbi Lieberman is correct, his school has actually 3 of those routes are in that range. And as we all know, the schools that are have a smaller population but still have multiple dismissals, it becomes quite a challenge to try to hit the load count targets and do it without hitting very long runs. It's extremely challenging. So I recognize everything Rabbi Lieberman said. He's obviously a very educated and a very reasonable man, and we've had very, very serious discussions both in my office and on the phone. And I am trying to seek a balance in trying to hit the load count targets, which I think are absolutely the proper way for this district to go if it's going to be not only fiscally responsible, but also practically responsible with the limitations of the infrastructure.
Gus, let me interrupt you, please.
Hold on one sec.
Excuse me.
Yeah. All right.
The issue at hand is real simple. Whatever we do is going to be a Band-Aid. What we need to do is look for a solution. And the solution down the road must be, in my opinion, that the schools work with the Board of Education and consolidate dismissal times. And that's what the thrust of this is. Based on comments from the Rabbi, you, and other board members, what we should do, the Rabbi has really keyed in on this one route of 98.4 minutes. I would make the motion to split this route and sit down in the future with you, the Transportation Committee, and with rabbis to move forward, to put an end to the solution. And the end must be to consolidate dismissal times, or we're going to have this every single year. And we don't have to have the pendulum swing left to right. There has to be a happy medium. So I would like to pass a motion.
Through the chair, first of all, I would like to second the motion, but I just want to add to that, that I understand that there has to be a burden on the schools to consolidate certain of the dismissal times, and they should all be synchronized together so we can help out the community and the whole town at large. There also has to be a serious discussion with the township as far as the future growth of Lakewood, or perhaps we should have some sort of moratorium on the future growth of Lakewood for a year or so, whatever it is, as far as the township and the planning board and the zoning board, because this will be absolutely something which is going to get out of hand. And just consolidating the dismissal times will help for now as well. But in the future, it's also a little bit of a Band-Aid if we don't deal with the real problem, and that's the infrastructure of Lakewood. As far as the amount of equipment on the road, many of these schools will have their own busing paid for by the schools if they have routes 80, 90 minutes. So we are not going to be dealing with that problem by withholding buses, because that equipment will be on the road no matter whether we pay for it or whether the schools pay for it. So this is a serious issue which must finally be dealt with in open, with transparency, with the township and the township committee as well. And of course the schools with their input. So with that, I would like to second the motion on this round.
Roll call, please.
Well, before we go to roll call.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, discussion, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Yes.
You're right about the dismissal is a problem because there's less kids and it causes the routes to be longer. But I would think that staggering dismissals should actually help traffic as
Not when
opposed
it's 10 minutes apart.
No.
They're not 10 minutes apart.
Some of them are.
Some of them,
Yeah.
yes, they are.
Oh, yeah?
You can't control.
We have a
Okay,
whole
okay,
list.
okay.
Through the chair, the issue,
Some schools,
The
I see
issue-
445 and 545.
a lot of schools are exactly.
Gus, how did this route ever come about? Now, this is
Okay, that I agree,
47.
but I'm talking about if someone has an hour.
This route is 47, so it's over the load, and it goes from,
okay.
basically, if you would drive this route with a regular car, even without making stops, this probably would take you about 90 minutes.
Right.
Through the chair, can I actually answer that question?
Yes.
The issue at hand is when you have a smaller school with a very small dismissal, say in this case we're dealing with a dismissal of 47 students. When we have a dismissal of 47 students, ask anybody how many buses would you normally provide, how many 54 passenger buses would you normally provide for 47 students?
Why can't we put out 20 smaller vehicles?
You saying 47 buses?
47
No, okay.
kids, what?
No, I thought you said 47
This
buses.
route
Let's be honest, what hurts these routes is house stops.
Well,
No, that's not just, this is
There's
without.
not one house stop on this route,
This is without
except for 18th Central Avenue. There's
Under
47
normal
other stops.
circumstances.
Gentlemen,
Sure, hold on. Under normal circumstances, you would put, Joel is right, you would put one bus. But under the circumstances and the conditions of Lakewood, with the proximity and the amount of the traffic involved and the amount of cars on the road and everything else that's involved.
With all due respect.
And the perimeter of Lakewood, you would have to use two buses in this case. There's no
with all due
question
respect,
about
it's not even a matter of
Robert
traffic.
Lieberman, I'm sorry, your time is actually up.
Yeah.
This is a discussion with the board right now, and we're actually in the middle of a motion. So please, respectfully, please, leave the podium. I want to just finish my thought, okay? I agree with Mr. Silver in that sense, that when you take one bus and you route it throughout the entire Lakewood, even without making any stops, and I was in the office this entire, excuse me, respect, please. And I was at the transportation department this morning. I spent about 3 hours there today. I didn't see any other board members there, okay?
I'm not invited to transportation.
I'm just saying, I was there, and I was the one that
Put us on the
worked on this
committee, we'll
route.
be there, Joel.
I worked on this route, and I can tell you firsthand what creates this problem. It's the fact that one bus has to cover the 26 square miles of Lakewood, and if you just run the route dry, without any students, you're getting well over 60 minutes. Now, my question is, what's the solution? So when you have 47 students at a dismissal, the solution that the school can help us out with is consolidate dismissals, put together a greater pool of students. So if you have, let's say, 100 students, now we could provide two buses, one to the east side of Lakewood, one to the west side of Lakewood. That would automatically cut the route in half immediately. Now, there's a willingness of the schools to work with us, or the schools can say, no, we don't want to work with you. We want to have it our way. And I think if we work together, I think we can go a lot further than being stonewalled and then have to make the decision ultimately from the Board of Ed's point of view, from a financial point of view, and what's right for the taxpayers of Lakewood as well.
This run is not, this is a financial decision, or this is a decision as far as the policies?
It's everything.
My question to you is, if you, I can't even believe that a bus company would pick up a run that's 90 minutes long. To be honest, they didn't know what it was, and they did it. What did you say?
Apparently somebody did. If you're not in transportation, then maybe you shouldn't
I'm asking,
I'll say they did.
Someone did.
Yes.
I didn't say no one did.
But in
I
all
said I can't believe that
fairness,
somebody would.
Gus was the one who routed this.
Right.
So let's not go there. You know what?
No, there was an issue. It's not Gus. The issue is the policy. He's just trying to follow a policy.
No, because there were other routes with the same amount of time that was split.
Gus,
So
do you know what
other
time?
schools and so forth. So we don't need to get into, things.
Gus,
There are
do you know at the
certain schools
top
that
of your
route
head
differently.
what time the 6th grade of this school gets out?
The 7th and 8th grade gets out at 5:45, and the grade dismissal before that gets out at 4:45.
So what Joel's suggesting is that we should have the 6th graders get out at 5:45 as well, or that we should
I
lower...
didn't suggest the time. I just said consolidated. I'll leave it up to the educators.
But understanding the
to work.
circumstances of the private schools and the way they operate and the way they
Going forward,
teach,
the schools
would
are
you
going to have to
suggest
consolidation.
to
You asked me if
increase-
I would be a private school administrator, and I
So
would...
wait. My question is, would you suggest that the 6th grade should get out at 5:45 as well, or would you suggest the 7th and 8th graders should get out an hour earlier?
An hour early.
I'm not giving either suggestion because I'm not a school administrator.
Understanding the way private schools in this town operate, I just was curious to know what you were suggesting.
I just told you, I'm not a school administrator, so therefore I'm not going to make suggestions.
All right, let's move.
Hold on, one quick question, Carl. One question, Carl. We have 11 routes out of how many? 1,200 that need to be split. We have 11 routes. These 11 routes are going to cause us aggravation and pain and agony and parents complaining. Out of 1,200 routes, we have 11 routes that are causing us a problem. Why don't, instead of putting a Band-Aid, why don't we just make a motion to split those routes, and you'll have a lot less headache on your head.
Isn't that a Band-Aid?
Huh?
Isn't that a Band-Aid?
No, it's not, because this year we're perfect, right?
So
That's
what
the solution for
what do you do for
11
next
buses.
year?
That's not a Band-Aid.
What do you do for next year?
Huh?
What do you do for next year?
You should split one of the 11, punish the other 10.
Punish the other 10, and then we're going to have complaints.
Solution is to deal with it throughout the year. I'm not disagreeing with you that there has to be a solution.
Gus did a fantastic job routing the
I'm
buses.
agreeing with you.
He's done a fantastic job. He's working around the clock to do his job. Why don't we make him let us be able to do his job a little bit easier and split the 11 buses and not have to deal with the aggravation?
But I think what you're saying is that why don't we have the schools meet us halfway? Why don't we have the schools meet us halfway?
Right now, we're not talking about the schools. We're talking about like three
No, if you're going to talk proper and let's talk honest.
I think everybody here understands.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
I think everybody here, I think everybody here understands, in this particular case, the school is more than reasonable by having a 4:45
And 5:45.
dismissal for 6th graders, boys' schools, and it's 5:45 dismissal for 7th and 8th graders. It's an hour apart. Your only two options are to make 6th graders leave the school at 5:45, or to make the 7th and 8th graders go home at 4:45, which everyone here on the board understands is not an option for a boys' private school. So, in this case, I think the school is...
half hour each way.
I'm sorry? What?
In other words, go with one dismissal for those 4 grades at 5:15 is what Mr. Mund is saying.
Mr. Seidler would like to comment.
I'm not a school administrator. On that, I can't comment.
Gus, I have one
Mr.
question.
Seidler.
What's the average cost? Gus,
Gus,
Yes,
what's the average cost of a route?
approximately $25,000.
So the average cost of splitting 10 routes would be $250,000. So in answer to Mr. Friedman's response, these 10 routes are going to cause us headaches and aggravation and $250,000.
What's our total bus budget?
About $22
It doesn't
million.
make a difference. $250,000 is for self-contained
So in
classes.
comparison
And
to our
this
bus
is taxpayers'
budget.
money.
well, the motion is on the board.
I don't know about you, Mr. Zeitler, but if my child was on a bus for 98 minutes, this week it's going to be 88 degrees outside. If my 5th grader or 6th grader, I don't care what age he is, was on a bus for 98 minutes every single day of the year, and on the way here, he's on a bus for 73 minutes, I'd be extremely, extremely aggravated.
Really? Well, you know what? My
child
child was on a bus for about 73 minutes every single day during the blazing summer on a bus that was privately paid for by the school. So when the school pays for it, 75 minutes is not an issue. It's only when we pay for it.
So we're saying we should adopt that same practice.
All right, the motion.
And if the school, one second, if the schools are so concerned for the child, why doesn't the school supplement the buses? Since they are the educators and they're concerned, they don't want us to use the children as pawns and as human shields and all the other derogatory terms that were thrown our way, why doesn't the school step up to the plate and provide a supplemental route?
Can I answer that? Yes, please.
No. No.
Let him
No.
answer. Let him answer. If there's an answer for it, let him answer. Let him
I have an
answer.
answer for Mr. Seichler as well.
Let him answer, please.
Mr. Seichler, first of all, I don't know which school you send your child to that put the kid on a 73-minute bus, but I can assure you that at Tashbar, we don't do that. In fact, you can speak to Jay's this week when I ran my own private route. When I ran my own private routes this week, When I ran my own private routes this week, I ran 3 buses in the morning instead of your 2. I ran 4 buses at night to supplement these runs. I'm prepared to split it. But are you suggesting, Mr. Schwartz, that with all the concern to keep buses off the road and traffic safety, by me supplementing a bus, that's going to solve the problem? Like Mr. Silver said before, you have the same amount of equipment on the street, either that or even worse, carpools. All you're doing is costing me money. And let's be fair, Mr. Seitler. When you have $250,000 for the kids taking the buses, every one of those kids deserves an education. Every one of those kids' parents pay into the
Including
taxes.
the 70 students that are not in school yet.
You know how many?
They all do.
No, they
They all do.
They're
And
not in school.
Tashbar took
We have
everyone
70
that we
students not in
can.
school yet.
That is not the,
Where's
that's not the
concern for those?
discussion now. That's not the discussion right now.
Excuse me.
I got 469 kids that I'm taking care of, and every single one of them
Rabbi.
deserves to get to school on time.
Rabbi,
Yes.
you
The
have to bring it
discussion
down.
here is not about, the discussion here is not about the route at Tashbar. The discussion is about the other 10.